Welcome to the Epic Man Podcast, where we let our curiosities and theories run wild and sometimes talk relevant news. Sometimes. I'm Josiah, and with me, my two friends and co-hosts, Ben and Michael. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good, but
got two today.
You said sometimes you're Josiah.
I said sometimes we talk relevant news. Sometimes.
And then you were immediately like, sometimes I'm Josiah with me.
I said sometimes, period. I'm Josiah, and with me,
now you derailed the entire podcast.
That's
Today,
just all I could think of.
We're talking about grammar.
Yeah, today we're talking about Ben's illiteracy. Or his inability to understand English or something. I don't know.
We're off the rails already.
Maybe I should do that again, but put all the punctuation in there. Welcome to the Epic Man Podcast, comma, where we let our curiosities and theories run wild and sometimes talk relevant news. Period. I'm Josiah, comma, and with me, comma, my two friends and co-hosts, comma, Ben and Mike. Period. How are you guys doing today?
Period.
Question mark.
Hello! Exclamation point. We're gonna lose.
I'm doing well.
All of our
exclamation point
right now.
We have had a really spicy week, haven't we?
We have.
It's been. I have. I mean, this whole week has been a freaking whirlwind. With just moving and looking for a second job and just Twitch and everything. Like, ugh. I just feel dead.
Wow.
I just feel dead.
Yep.
Just kill me, please.
No, that's not a thing we're gonna do.
That's not what we're doing. We won't go there, but I understand.
It's been crazy, dude. It's been crazy.
Yeah. It has been crazy. Your life has been kind of whack recently. The last
really
few weeks, months. It
really has. But we're making it happen out here, Just got to keep. I mean, the show's got to go on, right? That's why we're here.
Right. We never stop.
We're here, continuing to provide you, our listener, our audience, with this amazing, amazing content.
Our listener, huh? Content. Our single listener.
No, we have a lot of listeners.
No, I'm talking to them. I'm talking to each one of them individually. Listener.
Each one of you is a person.
Each one individual. What?
Each one of you is a person.
Individually is special, beautiful, and Josiah.
Don't think of it as a stadium. Think of it as a one-on-one conversation.
I kind of want to think of it like a stadium. I kind of want to talk to a stadium full of people.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah,
awesome. I can hook you up with maybe
when Epic Man goes on tour. Mike will be the one.
I would love for us to literally one day sit down in an entire stadium and when we do our podcast in front of a ton of people. Watching.
That'd be so fun, actually.
Dude, yeah, go on stage and just do our podcast right in front of a ton of people. Oh my gosh, I would love that. Ask questions, let people throw out questions and stuff in the audience.
What if we started trying to do a live podcast?
I was just thinking about that. We stream it live.
Well, I was thinking in an actual audience, in front of an actual audience.
Oh, I don't know how much. Yeah, I was gonna say, where would you do that?
Either way, we're really getting off topic. You know what?
Hey, there was no topic, so we're not off topic technically.
I kind of wish
I could
go back in time.
Oh, mercy.
And start this all over again.
That was so bad.
And the awesome thing about this week is we're going to talk about time travel.
That's so bad.
Hey, guess what, Ben? Where was your segue? Did you have a segue ready?
No,
you just said we didn't have any content ready, but we said earlier today we were talking about time travel.
Well,
we said last week we were talking about time travel. We even said the week before last we were talking about time travel, and we got stuck on talking about video games. So we need to give the people what they want. They want time travel.
We've been planning on this time travel episode for 3 or 4 weeks now. So it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just gotta jam that segue a little bit and just
that wasn't a jam segue. I really wish I could go back in time and undo all of what just happened.
Why? Because it's a bunch of bullshit.
Listen, sometimes you get there in bad ways.
Yeah,
we got there. We were in a bad way there,
man.
And I had to segue. I saved us.
I'm still in a bad way. So
same.
Well, guess what? Once again, if you had a time machine, maybe that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
Speaking
Exactly.
of time machines,
Speaking of
this
time
week
machines.
we're talking
Yeah.
about time travel.
Wow, I never.
Is it like
would've-
Deja
never would've
Vu?
Guessed. Never would have guessed.
Yeah.
Who
Well, I
could have
mean,
seen this coming?
Hey Ben,
I
what do you
don't
have
know.
to say about Deja Vu?
What?
you weren't here for that episode. You don't get to talk about it. Hey,
What?
Ben,
here for
We
that?
already talked about Deja Vu. What are you talking about? Literally, we were all talked about Deja Vu when we
Are
talked
you
about
sure that's
penis.
not just in your mind?
We talked
Yeah.
about
Are you
penis
sure that you're not
rocket.
just having Deja Vu right now?
Huh.
Are you gaslighting me?
I mean, gaslighting could be a form of time travel. Even go back in time, make something not happen in your head.
Ooh.
Wow.
If two people have a conversation and then you go back and like trick that person to believing that conversation never happened, isn't that kind of like changing time? Like you're going
Yeah.
back into their memories and editing things.
Time
Now
travel
it didn't
is real,
happen.
folks.
You're not
Well,
changing what? No,
You're
not
editing their
'cause-
memories.
Oh,
Listen.
mercy. You're not changing
That is the best
time.
kind of time travel. Editing
Check this out.
memories.
Listen, guys, we need.
That's
we need
just
to,
like
we need to talk about this. We need to talk about
bad.
time travel.
All right, time
Okay.
travel. Let's go. I'm ready. Let's go.
Time travel.
all right,
All right.
Mike. What do you
All
have
right,
to
Mike,
tell us about
hit
time
us.
travel?
Well, I got a lot of things to talk
Hit
about
us,
time
Mike.
travel, but I'm going to start it out with this because I saw this and this is what sparked my idea for time travel episode. Have you guys ever heard of the Chronovisor?
No.
Yes.
You have been. What's the
No,
Chronovisor?
I'm just kidding. I have no idea what
Oh
that is.
my gosh. Okay. The Chronovisor. It was
Uh-huh.
described by Father Francis Broom.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
I already don't trust him.
Okay, Father
He was a
Francis.
priest.
Okay.
He was a
Uh-huh.
priest.
Good old Father Francis.
Yep.
His last
And
name is Bruno,
in
I
his
don't trust
book,
that.
Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican,
Keep
What is
the
it called?
Vatican's new mystery, was allegedly a functioning time viewer.
What is
Oh,
it? What is it
Yep.
called?
The Vatican's new mystery.
No, what is the thing called? The thing
The
you're talking
Chronovisor.
Chronovisor.
Yep.
Chronovisor. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Heard.
Okay.
What?
So in the book that he wrote, The Vatican's New Mystery, Father Francois Brune, or Brunet, one of the two, he relates that the Chronovisor was built by Pellegrino Ernetti, who lived from 1925 to 1994. He was an Italian priest and scientist. Although Ernetti was a real person, the existence or functionality of the Chronovisor has never been confirmed, but its alleged capabilities are strongly reminiscent of the fictional Time Viewer, which is featured in a 1947 science fiction novella, E for Effort. Anyways, so I kind of came across this conspiracy that there was a man, this guy who invented basically like a television that could look back in time. And it could look back over historical events as long as you put in the right coordinates for it, and they could watch time and stuff. And this is how the Catholic Church was able to confirm things and events that happened and solidify for them. Like they went back and watched Jesus die on the cross. They went back and watched like the fall of the Roman Empire and stuff. And then basically the priests and the Pope and everything got together and decided it was too dangerous and hid it underneath, I think, the Vatican.
So in other words, what you're saying is we gotta put together a national treasure hunt and we gotta go take this thing from under the Vatican.
Oh snap!
I mean, hey,
Oh
I
snap!
don't know.
Alright. Mission Impossible 8, here we come. Let's go.
I
So
don't
if that's the case, then why does the Catholic Church continue to make Jesus a white guy?
well, because like you got to sell it.
I mean, I
That's
guess.
fair. Why do they keep trying to do that? I don't know.
I don't know. So, according to Ernetti, the device had several antennae, 3 of which were made of mysterious metals that picked up sound and light waves across their entire respective spectrums. A direction finder on the device was allegedly tuned into the specific area one wanted to view, while a screen displayed it and a recording device captured the footage. The Chronovisor was thus more of a window into the past than a time machine. Ernetti said it worked like a television catching echoes from days long gone that had been floating in space, and he claimed to have seen some astonishing things.
Okay.
There are
Okay,
reported
so-
blueprints for this device that you can go up and look online.
Okay, so we gotta
um,
build it. All right.
So, well, the thing is, we don't know what the 3 metals are
Um,
that they use to create the thing. But yeah, I mean, this was in newspapers at one point. Ernetti was, it wasn't just the book. Ernetti claimed that he built this machine, and then it had been hidden away by the Vatican in order to safeguard it from falling into the wrong hands. And then, interestingly enough, and this is a real thing that happened, in 1988, the Vatican decreed anyone using an instrument of such characteristics would be immediately excommunicated from the church.
Oh wow.
So they didn't even like deny that the thing existed. They just said that if anybody used any type of device, they'd be excommunicated immediately.
So my thing is here. This is more Italians or Josiah's question in some ways. If it was put underneath the Vatican, like maybe they hid the secrets with it in some ways, and that's why they still think Jesus is white. They just don't want to shred that information, I don't know.
But
maybe
according to Ernetti, he maintained until his death in 1994 that the machine had been hidden away. He swears that it was real. He wrote an open letter right before his death and adamantly reiterating that the device was real. He claimed that Pope Pius XI forbade us from disclosing any details about the device because the machine was very dangerous and could restrain the freedom of man. So, yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
So what this reminds me of, there is a television show that I don't want to spoil anything too much, but it's called Devs. And I know Josiah started, I don't know if he got that far.
No, I don't know.
But one of the primary concepts it deals with is pretty much the exact same thing. There is a reason why one of the characters can literally see back in time and they can see images of the past. And the reason for that, obviously I won't spoil because that's very important, but it's a device and technology that they've created to be able to see echoes of our past as civilization. And literally one of the examples they use is Jesus's crucifixion. That's one of the things, like one of the images that's there. And so because they're talking about like the existence of faith and Christianity as a religion, and like those ideas are, and so that's like one of the things that comes up as a topic. But it's just interesting stuff because it's like it's a thought-provoking conversation on what we would be able to do if we had a device or technology to be able to do that ourselves as people, and kind of what morally gray areas that goes into, and if that's ethical, if it's not, things like that. But that show deals with that pretty much that exact same thing. So
interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah. Well, I think it's fascinating, like just such an interesting concept because, I mean, obviously there's a conspiracy about being able to look back in time and stuff, but according to some scientists, even as late as 2018, claim that it's based on what they understand of even like speed of light travel and faster than light travel.
Yeah,
it could be very possible because according to Einstein's theory of relativity, the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time.
Yeah.
Which is evidence because apparently if like you get up into like a space station or like were to float around orbit the Earth, when you came back, more time on Earth would have passed than time had passed for you. So you'd come back younger. Yeah.
I think that's been factually like proven that when you move like at a fast rate, then time goes
significantly slower.
Slow down. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's why they visualize it like that with like speedsters like the Flash and stuff. Is like time's like slowed down.
Which is crazy. It's really interesting. I just had like a weird like thought and stuff. So why is it that like let's say that someone in the future does go back in time and do something that completely rewrites history,
that fricks the timeline basically?
Like why is it then that our history books now don't have that if it's something that happens in the past? You know what I mean? Like would it be something where like in the future, if someone were to go back in time, would the history books after his timeline, would they be altered? Would they be different? But we haven't gotten to that point yet.
I guess it all,
or what,
I guess it all depends on the rules of time travel. And if time travel existed, we wouldn't know the rules of time travel. Yeah. Because, somehow like in different media, like representations of time travel, there always is different rules. Like in some, when you change something from the past, it doesn't affect anything from the future. But in others, it's when you change stuff from the past, it affects everything in the future that's happened. Yeah. And like time is completely different and life is completely different, and stuff like that. Really good example of that is About Time, a movie that I've tried to get Josiah to watch for a long time. Great movie, but That's the whole idea of like when you go back and change one thing that's a major event, it fricks up everything, and so everything is completely different when you get back to your timeline.
Man, do you know why I haven't watched that movie yet?
Why?
Because the day that I watch it, I want you to be able to say to me, "About time."
Are you sure you don't want me to watch it with you?
If you do that, I'll leave. I'll leave everything.
I thrive for that because that's a dad joke.
I'll leave,
Through and through.
I'll leave the
And that's just
podcast.
the best.
I'll leave this planet.
Mike will just leave.
I'll
He'll be
leave
like,
the whole planet.
he'll
be
just
like, "Nah."
communicate with the aliens. Mike, we'll find out that Mike
Like-
actually has been communicating with the aliens this entire time, and he'll just be like, "Hey guys,
That's
come
my
pick
hope.
me up.
And
I'm
finally
ready to
just
go."
tells them to take him. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Like, all right, it's time.
it's
Well,
time. I'm out of
He's
here.
like, "I
So-
don't want to die, but I want to leave. Please."
I want to get back into this crazy conspiracy stuff.
Yeah,
But I
sorry.
do want to talk about something really interesting here.
Yeah. Okay.
According to scientists, there's already been a real time machine that's been built.
Okay.
Okay. I'm
Was it
intrigued.
built by the same people that went to Mars?
They said it's actually called the Large Hadron Collider. They say that
Oh yeah, this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
they
about.
say that
this
it
thing, yeah.
propels protons at nearly the speed of light, which is a speed that makes the relative time of the protons move around 6,900 times slower compared to human observers. In essence, the protons are being sent into the future.
Mm,
Hmm.
that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing that like collides
They
them
smash
together
particles together
because
yeah.
they're like trying to create new elements and stuff.
Yeah.
See, but like realistically, you
If I
couldn't
remember
do anything.
correctly, they're firing that up.
There was a huge protest about that when they first used it because there was like they were saying that there's a possibility that it might create like a black hole or something.
Uh-huh.
And
So
so
and
like,
I did it anyways.
yeah,
Yeah,
everyone
and just
was-
literally suck the
were
planet
freaking out.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like freaking out, but they're like, well, we won't know unless we try it. So
Yeah.
If everybody dies tomorrow, well, guess we
maybe
found
we
out.
did die.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of
Well,
this
it's
meme.
another
I'll send it to
timeline.
the group.
I think
Hold on.
it's firing up here again. They're doing another experiment with it.
Oh
in
snap.
2022, I believe it is.
That's really cool. I'm so excited.
New schedule for accelerator. Yeah, they're firing it up again.
Are they gonna smash more
Okay, so
particles
this meme,
together?
Yeah.
this meme I sent to the group. Yeah, let's take a look at it. This is literally what they're doing with that device.
Yeah, exactly. For those who can't see the meme, it says the scientific method. First step, fuck around. Second step, find out.
Yep. mean,
So
listen,
what is that
yeah.
device called? Just for listeners who want to
The
find out more
Large
about it.
Hadron Collider.
There you go. So
So yeah, it's basically,
Yeah.
hey, if it opens black hole, it opens black
Oh,
hole.
it actually
Yeah,
it fired up.
exactly.
It fired up in December of last year.
Yeah.
At one point, and then they have a plan to fire it up again in 2022.
hmm
Yeah.
Okay, why do they want to fire it up in 2022?
I don't know. Then
wanna
they're shutting
smash
it,
again.
Then they're going to shut it down, and they'll begin running it again in 2025 and end in mid 2027.
See,
So
the thing is, if they ever tried to run that with like human test subjects, that would like obliterate a human being because
yeah. Well, you want to hear something kind of? I mean, there's stories about that too.
About
and
what?
this is where we get into the ethical side of things.
About
Right here.
smashing humans together? What?
No, there's a guy. His name was Antonoli Bergorsky. Listen,
Okay.
we're getting way off of the time travel thing here, but this is kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
He stuck his head inside of
Oh
a
no.
particle accelerator.
Why would you do that?
It was in 19. He was known for surviving a radiation accident in 1978 when a high energy proton beam from a particle accelerator passed through his brain.
What? And he survived?
Uh-huh. He was checking a
Probably-
malfunctioning piece of equipment when the safety mechanisms failed. He was leaning over the equipment when he stuck his head in the path of the proton beam.
Why would
Reportedly, he saw a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, but
Holy
didn't
crap.
feel any pain. The beam passed through the back of his head, the occipital and temporal lobes of his brain, the middle left ear, and out to the left-hand side of his nose. He received a dose of 200,000 to 300,000 rentgens. Huh. It's the unit of measurement for the exposure of X-ray and gamma rays.
And
So
how's he
literally,
not
he
dead?
almost got Bruce Bannered.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He
crazy.
understood the severity of what happened, but continued working on the malfunctioning equipment and initially opted not to tell anyone what happened.
Wow.
Yeah, he yeah,
is he
he's
dead now?
I don't know, he's still alive today.
Huh.
The left half of his face swelled up beyond recognition over the next several days. The skin started to peel, revealing the path of the proton beam had burned through parts of his face, his bone, and the brain tissue underneath. As it was believed that he had received far in excess of a fatal dose of radiation, he was taken to a clinic in Moscow where the doctors could observe his expected demise. However, he survived, completed his PhD, and continued working as a particle physicist. There was virtually no damage to his intellectual capacity, but the fatigue of mental work increased markedly. He completely lost hearing in the left ear, replaced by a form of tinnitus. The left half of his face was paralyzed due to the destruction of the nerves. He was able to function well, except for occasionally complex partial seizures and rare tonic-clonic seizures.
Wow. So basically, he has some occasional seizures, and he's just got a consistent ringing in his left ear.
He was described as a poster boy for Soviet and Russian radiation medicine.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I guess if that radiation didn't kill him, then radiation guns, here we come. Let's go.
I guess. Yeah.
Listen, that's crazy though.
After that.
Imagine sticking your head in something that had a particle moving so fast that it just passed through your body, and your body didn't even know about it until like 3 days later.
Yeah.
Yeah, your body just didn't feel any pain. All of a sudden, just started.
Just didn't know. Yeah, I was just like, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden, it's like, "Bro."
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, we got to do something. I mean, I'm not gonna let you get off.
Second.
You're not getting out of this freebie. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, there's like isn't it like solar flares that can like do crazy stuff to like brains and stuff like that too?
Probably.
I heard something about that. Like, I don't remember if it's solar flares or something else, but there's something where like there's like these particles in space that if they like hit your brain or something, then it'll like completely incapacitate you or something.
Huh.
I can't remember exactly. I would have to look more into it.
So is this like for a worry for people in space?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's like a common occurrence or anything. So
yeah.
But I was just looking into this. We're going all over the place right now with this episode. Must be time hopping here or something. But I found out something kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
About Jesus. Okay.
Oh.
So
okay.
Apparently there's this thing called the Alexamenos graffito. And it
sounds Italian.
And this graffito is representing a person who is like crucified with a donkey head. And it was it's like something that was created by a Roman in the 1st century. Okay. It's like on a plaster on a wall in Rome. And apparently there's like an inscription on it, and the inscription reads Alexandro worshiping his god. So apparently there was like, I don't know, a Roman or something who was like mocking like Christianity or something, and like just like made this carving of like a donkey headed man on like a cross.
Yeah, I see
Alexandro worshiping his god underneath it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's so odd.
But that's from the 1st century, so that means that this would have like happened like just like a couple decades after Jesus and stuff or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's nuts.
That's crazy.
I know you guys really trying to get off this topic, but we're talking about time travel, and I'm going back to it because Ben was the one that mentioned this. And I'm going to bring it up because I'm going to give Ben credit on this, guys. Ben was the one that talked about this. I mean, I knew about it beforehand, but I'm giving Ben credit because he was the one that brought it up, talked about it. John Titor, is that how you pronounce his name? Titor? Titor? Titor?
Titor?
Yeah, Titor. He is supposedly a time traveler from the future and predicted the end of the world.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. And then he disappeared, never to be heard from again.
So
probably because he got killed by the aliens. I'm going to be entirely honest. It's probably what happened.
I don't know. Yeah. According to this, a second civil war will splinter America into 5 factions, leaving the new capital based in Omaha, which as of right now, that's not completely unbelievable. Mm-hmm. But see, he was wrong about this. World War III supposedly was going to break out in 2015, starting with Russia and the U.S. trading nukes and ending with 3 billion dead. That didn't happen. Then a computer bug was supposed to deliver where Y2K sputtered, destroying our world as we know it. That is, unless an audacious time traveler successfully traverses the space-time continuum, blah, blah, blah. So according to him, he had to come back to like save us from stuff.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that if he is a time traveler, It's kind of the butterfly effect, right? Like if he comes back and like
Did he change everything? Yeah.
spouts off all these things,
Yeah.
like that could be all it takes in order to completely change events.
Time entirely.
Yeah. According to John, he appeared on the internet in 2000, and he claimed he was from the year 2036. He was a soldier, and he was sent back, and he was supposed to head back to 1975 in order to snatch and grab an IBM 5100 computer, which had the necessary equipment to fight the future virus. His detour to the year 2000 was simply to get a little R&R while visiting his 3-year-old self, ignoring every fabric of time paradox rule from time travel stories, which, as an aside, I think that's kind of interesting because we watch in movies all the time. Like if you meet your past self, you'll screw up the timeline, blah, 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 blah. But we've already talked about the fact that just the act of stepping back in time, like existing in a place, because here's the thing, it's a rule of like physics, like two objects cannot occupy the same space. So imagine even just the air molecules being displaced in an area that weren't supposed to be displaced could probably change significant amount of things in our past.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But according to this guy, he came back from then, came to visit his 3-year-old self, and over the next 4 months, he responded to every question on every forum that anybody asked him, describing future events in poetically phrased ways. Also submitted with a general disclaimer that alternate realities do exist, so his reality may not be our own. In between dire urgings to learn first aid and stop eating beef, Mad Cow was a serious threat in his reality. Titer provided a number of technical specs regarding how time travel worked, with overly complex algorithms and grainy, hard to make out photos of his actual machine, which, yes, of course, was an automobile, a 1987 Chevy Suburban. He also showed off his cool futuristic military insignia. So, yeah. The only thing I found out about this specifically because I watched like a grainy old video of him supposedly showing a picture that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I've seen that picture,
Yep. He claims that time travel degrades photos and video really badly.
Right.
But that he had pictures of like some futuristic like tech.
So there's 3 things it could be. A, he actually is from the future and he's telling the truth. B, he's crazy. C, it's just a really big elaborate scheme to mess with people.
Or D, Ben is John Titor. He's trying to throw us off the trail.
Ben, is this really you?
No.
Tell us the truth, Ben.
Dude, that was oh my goodness, 37.
37?
Yeah. You're not 37 years old, Ben. I think Ben is old enough that he could have been visited by his older self.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
He might have been about 3 in 2020. Or 2000, 2000.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Because
Ben, that's crazy.
If he was 3, then he'd be like 25 right now. How old are you, Ben?
23.
Oh, snap. There you go. There you go. I knew it.
Ben's a time traveler. Got his ass.
Confirmed.
Got his ass. He wanted us to believe he was an alien. But he's really a time traveler.
That's why I know about the aliens though.
Yeah, because no, but I don't know. There's been like a ton of stuff. This was back before like a lot of big internet hoaxes were happening.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting part, is this guy was ready to like break this stuff all down.
The only thing that really, I think it's the elaborate blueprints of his time traveling device. That's where it gets me caught up on. That's a pretty elaborate thing. Like if you genuinely had good blueprints for something, to try to pull a hoax over people like that, that'd be pretty hard. I feel like maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I think that feels like it'd be pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really complex, and it looks like a legitimate blueprint for something,
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is, go ahead, Ben.
I mean, with like the military insignia, you just need some graphic design, things like that, so an artist, a really good artist. But I think, I don't know, it's tough. It's the same with like, alien encounter stories in some ways, where it's like, you just don't know, because why is everything grainy? Why is everything, not.
And if you could bring a picture back, why not bring something else, like another item or something,
Well, if I remember correctly,
is that part of the rules of time travel? Can you not bring things?
if I remember correctly, you can't bring really big items.
Of course.
With you.
But you can bring grainy pictures back. Yeah.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's interesting is nobody's ever claimed to be him. Like he disappeared, and then nobody's claimed to be him. Nobody's
Dude,
been able to.
can I make a bunch of money if I just claim to be this guy?
You could, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there was another time traveler who also made the same claim as Tidor, or whatever his name is, who said that he was from the year 3311, and
that's way far in the future.
Yeah, and he brought back 3 pictures that he's basically made the same claim that they were like grainy pictures, and pictures are like some of the only things that you could bring back and stuff. But his pictures were basically taken apart and shown that they were photoshopped and everything else. And but he was someone who like went completely anonymous and stuff. He was like doing these videos like different YouTubers and stuff, and basically you know, he was on like national television and stuff too. So but he was like showing these pictures and stuff, and then someone was like somebody like recognized like a bit of an image in one of them, and then basically from there basically was able to take them all apart and show that they were all like fake and stuff. Yeah,
it's kind of nuts.
So
yeah,
I think it's just really interesting. I mean, the thing is that
have you guys there's also someone else. I mean, there's all sorts of different.
The thing is, anybody with a little bit of an imagination can create a time traveling story,
and that is fair.
Yeah, I just think exactly. Yeah,
the argument a lot of times for people make for John Tidor is that there's so little evidence of where he is. Right. Like an Italian television programmer aired the results of investigation, and a private investigator looked into it. He found no registry evidence, past or present, of any individual named John Tidor.
It's a made-up name, probably.
Identified the John Tidor Foundation, which was a for-profit company formed on September 16, 2003, with no office or address other than a rented post box in Kissimmee, Florida. An IP address connected with Tidor also was geolocated in Kissimmee, Florida. But yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. It's just interesting. It's a lot of times with the conversation is there's so little evidence to prove I'm wrong that like it opens the idea of talking about it being right, because I think today it's a lot harder to fake stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is crazy. But I don't know, man.
People will find out one way or another today if things are faked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The technology we have is, you know, we're able to figure out things photoshopped and things like that or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's exactly. It's fascinating.
There's I mean, like there's all sorts of different stories of these people who do these types of things and stuff. There's someone who made a prediction that there's going to be there's a thing called the Great Wave, which is a super tsunami that's supposed to hit the West Coast on May 5th of 2022.
Oh my!
Which people like freaking out for a little bit.
Dude, imagine though, one of these things that these guys predicted. Like, imagine one of these things like actually happened.
Yeah. Well, there is one that actually did happen.
Like when they said it was going to happen, though.
Yeah, there's a guy who made the claim that he is a time traveler from 2020, and back in 2015, he said that he was a time traveler from 2020, and he said, enjoy 2016, it's as good as it gets for a while. And then he went on to predict that there was going to be like a virus in 2020, and he said that and he's made all sorts of different predictions and stuff. Like he also made like a recent prediction that like more recent than 2015, he made a prediction that Donald Trump wouldn't be like reelected and stuff, and he did some of that type of stuff. So that was a fun one. that was like circulating on Twitter for a while, which was kind of crazy.
Interesting.
So his name is Drew Curtis on Twitter. So he still has a lot of his tweets up too. Which is,
really?
Yeah.
Yep. That's fascinating. What do you do with that?
Yeah. I mean, you know, like once again, that could also be just lucky guesses.
Yeah.
You know,
very,
like
very lucky guesses. Yeah.
very lucky guesses. But it's the same reason. Well, and that begs the question, you're like, why has The Simpsons been able to
Right.
predict so many things that have happened?
Yeah.
Like it's scary the
it's
amount of
crazy.
things that they've gotten right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it all begs that question too. Like how, like, I don't know, like maybe that in some way, maybe there's a time traveler who works on the writing staff of, you know, whatever. Or it's just really good predictions. But like that is
we
a
should
one
look
in
into
a
that and try to find like if there's like some sort of connection or something
Yeah.
between.
but like
two
that's
stuff.
a one in a who knows how many numbers chance to be able to predict something like that.
Well, check this is kind
Actually
of
happening.
interesting.
The really weird thing about that though is that The Simpsons has predicted a lot of stuff.
They have
That's what I'm
predicted a lot
saying.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And Matthew
And
Groening is like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. I don't know.
What were you gonna say, Mike?
I was just gonna say, speaking of like predictions,
Yeah.
actually, this was an old article that got dug up that there was a guy that was they accused him of being a time traveler,
Mhm.
because he was busted for insider trading. It originated with Weekly World News, and Yahoo reprinted it on the internet. This guy started with an initial investment of $800 into the stock market. In
Mhm.
2 weeks' time, he had a portfolio valued at over $350 million. Every trade he made capitalized on unexpected business developments, which simply can't be pure luck. They said the only way he could pull it off is with legal inside info. He's going to sit in a jail cell on Rikers Island until he agrees to give up his sources. And then he made like a flurry of like 126 high risk trades and came out the winner every single time.
Wow.
But then when they arrested him, he declared that he had traveled back in time from over 200 years in the future, when it's common knowledge that our area experienced one of the worst stock plunges in history.
Yeah.
Yet anyone armed with knowledge of the handful of stocks destined to go through the roof could make a fortune. It was just too tempting to resist, Carlson said in his videotape confession. I'd planned to make it look natural, lose a little here and there so it didn't look too perfect, but it just caught up in the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know where this guy is now, but
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
Well, I mean, there's like, even if there's stuff that makes me wonder if some of it is more like maybe like visions and stuff too.
Yeah.
Because there's like, even I'm just thinking of like the Bible. There's a lot of examples of people who have like visions or kind of like have like these prophetic moments where they predict things that are going to happen like later on, even in like the Bible and stuff.
Yeah.
And makes me wonder if like maybe that's still a thing that could be going on too, where people are having like weird like visions or something of things that are going to happen in the future. And maybe they think that they're like time traveling, but they really aren't. It's just like something that's just completely in their mind.
That's yeah.
So
I mean, it's possible. That's also possible. Yeah. But then you have to question, like, if people are having visions like that, then where are they coming from?
Yeah, exactly.
Deja vu.
Aliens.
Remember, that was one of my reasonings for deja vu. Was like was visions of the future, or whatever.
So maybe most of us just have like really many visions, but then there's like some people that have like crazy
visions.
Yeah.
They can like see the future. Like what if, like literally, like what if the people who write, say, The Simpsons, like have dreams about things happening that do happen, and then they write that down. They're like, oh, that's a great idea. I should write that down. That makes good television, or that's comedy. Like, hey, let's write that down, and then it happens, and then you realize life is just a big joke.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That'd be crazy, dude. That'd be really crazy.
But like, to me, that's a more realistic, because that's something we know, at least we believe to have happened. That to me is more realistic than thinking if someone has a time traveling device that they've used to travel through time.
Yeah.
To me, at least, that seems more realistic, that people have visions and they see things and they're like, oh, that seems like a good idea. Or even if they have like something that pop in their brain, they're like, oh, wow, that seems like it'd be funny. And then they write it down, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's pretty whack, not gonna lie.
Yeah. So doing a little bit of digging, I found more talk about that Andrew Carlson. Apparently, the only evidence of that guy were from two newspapers, one of which was a joke publication.
Oh, gotcha.
So I have to give credit to a guy we don't know named C.R. Barry. He has a website called crbarryauthor.com. He actually was the one that dug that up and investigated that to find out exactly how true it could or could not be. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Well, some of that Deja Vu stuff is kind of making me think, because I've heard about this before, where there's like this theory. It's more like a theory than anything else right now, but there's this theory among some scientists and some like psychologists and stuff that we're born with like the memories and experiences of like our ancestors imprinted on our DNA.
Yes.
And we're not necessarily, we don't know exactly how to like unlock them, but it's possible that like most of our like basic instincts, I guess, like survival instincts and some of that type of stuff might be coming from like our ancestors and stuff too. So
what if we invented a machine where if you laid down in it, it could unlock the DNA of your ancient ancestors and you could relive their memories?
Yeah.
Wow. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like Assassin's Creed. Wow, I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
but no, I mean I have heard that before. Like I have actually I read about that somewhere, that like ancestral memories, like
that's literally what that is though.
Yeah, but it's like an actual thing that people believe could be a thing.
Yeah, genetic
like
memory.
You can unlock something in your genetics or DNA or whatever, and
yeah. They believe that that's how some people are, like that's how some people can be like really, really talented at some things that they shouldn't be talented at. Like you just naturally have an aptitude for certain things, and you find out that people in your history had it, things like that. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just really interesting.
That's a very fascinating subject to me.
Yeah,
that'd
absolutely.
Be really interesting to look more into.
There was this guy specifically. This is in Scientific American. He talked about how this guy went around just investigating savants. Like Leslie Limke, who is a musical virtuoso who never had a lesson in his life. He just was incredibly good at playing music, and everybody was just like blown away by it. But there's no evidence of where it came from. But if he had somebody in his past, an ancestor or something that was a virtuoso, and he unlocked those, or because the thing is, a lot of times with savants, they have other issues mentally, almost like their brain didn't have what it needed to. We all know that like our bodies and our brains are known for doing things like people lose half of their brain and then their brain adapts to use the other side, or like people get hit in the head and wake up and know a different language. Weird stuff like that. We've talked about that a little bit.
Stuff like that's happened too.
Yeah. So imagine, you're being born and your brain is developing, and maybe you don't have a center for your memories to develop correctly. So it goes back and it uses genetic data that it already has to make something, and now you're a virtuoso and you don't even know why.
Right. Yeah. That's so fascinating.
Is that why some people are prodigies too? Because of things like that?
Hey, it's possible. I don't know.
Ancestrally, like let's say their like ancestors were amazing at these different things, and so they've like learned all of those things, but they're able to learn them really quick because of that reason.
Right.
Or they excel in them because of that reason. Like, I've always wondered why prodigies are prodigies. Like how do they adapt? Like how do they adapt to learning something so quickly and so well? More so than anybody else, It's just interesting.
This was one of the earlier like ideas of genetic memory was in 1940. A guy named A.A. Brill, he quoted Dr. William Carpenter, who, in comparing math prodigy Zara Colburn calculating powers to Mozart's mastery of musical composition, he wrote the following: in each of the foregoing cases, then we have a peculiar example of the possession of an extraordinary congenial aptitude for certain mental activity, which showed itself at so early a period as to exclude the notion that could have been acquired by the experience of the individual. To such congenital gifts we give the name of intuitions. It can scarcely be questioned that the like of instincts of the lower animals, they are the expression of constitutional tendencies embodied in the organism of the individual who manifests them. Which is just a fancy way of saying they got it from their ancestors, but still, I mean, that's a really fascinating concept in and of itself, that you could just, and maybe in a way that's kind of a form of time travel.
Yeah,
Being able to
exactly.
like you said, maybe sometimes, maybe some of these memories are unlocking are, maybe it goes both ways in some instances. Maybe there's some weird radiation or something that like hits somebody. Maybe they have the ability to unlock memories of things coming in the future,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We don't
Yeah.
know, because we only perceive time as linear. We know it has a beginning and an end. And I always thought this was really fascinating. Like when you actually like sit down and like think on the concept of like infinity, like it's difficult, but you can kind of conceive of an idea where like a line that has no end. It's hard because after like so long of a distance, it's hard to like think that far away. But imagine a line that has no beginning either. Like we can't. It's hard to conceive of that because our brains have a beginning. So all we know about time is that it has a beginning and an end, or maybe a beginning and maybe one day no end. But to conceive of time before that didn't exist, it's like, well, what was there? A lot of times we come to the conclusion that there was nothing. But what if that's just because our view of time is skewed?
Well, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's I think that's a much more, that seems to me a much more viable way of one day being able to tap into a form of time travel, is like linking through like DNA or something like that, much more than like just like a machine or something that you just like stick yourself in and then being like zapped into another time. So
Interesting.
Like reliving past ancestors' lives through. I mean, that's true. I feel like that could be way more plausible than something else, than like physically going back in time, if that makes sense. You're like going back in memories time, but you're not going back in time.
Exactly.
Time.
I mean, what if you could do that with other things too? What if you could what if one day humans are able to do something like that where they can take DNA from all sorts of different things, then they
like
can
a freaking dinosaur and like go back and be a dinosaur,
or even like a tree. What if you could take DNA from like a tree, but then you can like get the experiences of the centuries of what's happened around that tree and stuff, and
what it's like to be a tree.
Or if you really want to get like real fancy, Megatherium, go back, find out when he got stuck in the mud and died. We could see how the giant sloth died out.
We could in fact find the DNA of a giant sloth and become the last giant sloth.
The memories,
the last of the
Megatherium. Listen, you get to watch it sitting, pooping, eating slowly, and then one day just die.
Well, on that note,
have you guys heard of Rudolph Fentz?
No, who's that? Don't lie.
And I'm gonna this might be our closing thing here, but Rudolph Fentz. So back in the 1950s, a guy with mutton chop sideburns and a Victoria era duds mysteriously appeared from nowhere in the middle of Times Square, and apparently he looked startled, according to eyewitnesses, when was eventually run over by a car and killed.
Oh yeah, he was the guy that got hit by the car. Yep.
But when his body
they never got to ask him anything.
When his body was searched, 19th century money was found, as well as documents dating from 1876 that didn't appear to have aged a day. From these documents, the man's name was found, Rudolph Fentz. So apparently attempts were made to also track down his family, if he had any, and Mrs. Rudolph was later tracked down, who just so happened to be the widow of Rudolph Fentz Jr., the mysterious dead man's son.
Oh snap.
But he just showed up and was like super confused, and then was hit by a car and died.
Of course, the one evidence we might have of time travel, freaking dead. Just imagine that. You figure out how to go back or forward into time. You go in time and then you just die.
Well, the unique thing about that is that we've been talking about people who are coming from the future back, but this
is a guy coming from the past forward.
Exactly. But if he seemed like super confused about it, then what happened? If this is true, then what happened? Like, did he like somehow find a wormhole or something, or
he got teleported?
Yeah, or what?
I mean,
well, the one thing that seems to be more plausible. And when it comes to time travel, is traveling forward than backwards.
Yeah.
Traveling backwards is like the hard part, but it seems like being able to travel forwards like is less difficult if you can survive whatever the bump is that needs to push you there. You know?
Exactly.
So I mean, it could be possible that maybe, you know, for a moment this guy hit something that we don't know, an anomaly. You know, I mean, when you start getting into like quantum physics and some of that stuff, like you're getting some really crazy stuff as far as what really happens and the probability of things happening and stuff. So
exactly.
I wonder if you could find out if they found out the guy's occupation.
Yeah, that'd be.
I guess they wouldn't know, because if they can't date him back, is there any way they could like date him back to the time period that he was apparently from?
Well, apparently he had documents that were from 1867, I think.
Okay, but he showed up in the 1950s.
Yep. But they were also able to track down his son, apparently, as well, or the wife of his son. So, like, I don't know if they asked like her or his son like more about it or what. But
that's so mysterious.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that'd be an interesting story. I'll have to look more into that story. But
it's wild.
So a lot of crazy stuff out there. We want to know from you, our listener, what you think and stuff. So, you know, if you're watching us on YouTube, let us know in the comments what you think about time travel and all of this crazy stuff. And if you are also listening to us on your favorite audio platform, then please leave a review. We'd appreciate that a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will talk to you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.